So good evening, everyone, and welcome to our second course of our Role Models Masterclass from Women in Tech, the Netherlands. This course this evening is going to be diving in to your passions, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation with you. As a very short form of introduction, my name is Cara Antoine, and I'm looking after the Dutch chapter of Women in Tech in the Netherlands. And with me also on the line is Gabby Verwegen. And Gabby and I will be your hostesses for tonight's conference. But actually, we have a lineup of incredible speakers for you tonight that I just know you're going to be absolutely inspired and taken away by these speakers. So what we're going to do is turn very quickly to getting started with the speakers, following a short introduction for me to just let you know what this evening is all about. So we're going to be exploring your passions, and you can see the agenda here in front of you. For those of you who were with us in the very first program, we talked about your persona, and that was in September. And at that time, we had an opportunity to find some volunteers from among the audience who said, I would love to come back on the second masterclass and reflect on my learning and share my story with you. And so I have the great pleasure in a moment to introduce you to four fantastic new role models who have the courage to be on the stage with us tonight. And we'll be introducing them shortly so that they can share their stories with you. And that is Soraya, Adriana, Anka, and Karim. And after their presentation, we will be listening to three other speakers. And in fact, it's not just a listening role. We are going to be putting you to work. And so Mira, Marjolein, and Lika each have sessions where we're going to be using a whole bunch of the set of our tools, from polling to breakout rooms, and having a very interactive engagement. We would really encourage you to do two things tonight. Number one is obviously, put on your learning caps and really actively participate with us in this session by putting your comments into the tab, into the comments section, into the chat section, unmuting yourself when necessary to ask your questions and get your voice in the room, and really take an active part in this. The other thing that we'll ask you to do is we saw that there was quite a following from many of you on social media last month in September when we were talking about your persona. And so we're going to give you an opportunity also to help us continue this conversation in social media. And I will share with you those links and tags in just one moment. As we get to the end of our evening tonight, what we will also be doing is looking for 3 or 4 new volunteers. So like you're about to hear now from a group of young ladies, we're looking for 3 or 4 new volunteers who will be willing to come back in course number 3, which is on the 12th of November, where we will be talking at that time about your purpose and your presence. And so we want to invite you to start now thinking about who are going to be the next group of volunteers that will come back in and share their stories with us and the reflection of tonight's program. So without further ado, let me just introduce you quickly to the tags that we can encourage you to follow us and be a part of the conversation in social media. So join up with us in LinkedIn if you haven't already done so. We have an Instagram account and Twitter. So just starting with those 3, if you want to hashtag women in tech or hashtag about role models, then those would be 2 great tags to follow. And Rita Proda from our media and comms team is going to be the magic behind the screen, who will help us to continue to promote and amplify your posts and comment on those on behalf of Women in Tech. So be invited to take part in the conversation here with us online tonight, or on social media, and following us and taking part in the conversation in any of these channels. With that, I am going to hand over to the first part of our program for tonight. And by that, what I will do is, in fact, turn to Karim, who is going to kick us off. And I do also need to just mention something very special. It is Karim's birthday today. So I think as a community, if you would love to join me in wishing her a very happy birthday as I hand the stage to her, then please do that. And Karam, I'm going to hand the stage to you. And if you have slides from Adriana that you would like to share, you're welcome to do that. But I'm going to hand it to you now to take over the session for the next 15 minutes. Karam, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cara, for your birthday wishes. It means a lot to me. Yeah, since this community is like a family. So yeah, even though it's a little time, but yeah, it feels like home. So thank you for that. So having said this, one moment, please. Let me just exit this. Okay, now, so I can see the slides here right now. Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you, Adriana. So first of all, I would like to acknowledge the fact that this experience has been like a mini demo, as I mentioned previously. It's like a mini demo in the sense that you work with different nationalities, people you never met, and this is like it's a great exercise for work remotely. For work, it's like a mini work experience where you learn to coordinate, plan, and get things done in a very effective way. So that is something very, very important to me, and I wanted to acknowledge it, and thank you for that. And yeah, so as you can see in the slides, I became passionate about web development, and so that was about 6 months ago. 2 years ago, I started in marketing. That was my background, but I always had the itchy feeling of building things, so of building tangible things, and it's been challenging. It is still challenging to find my first role as a software engineer. But taking part in the role model session, becoming a volunteer 4 weeks ago, has increased my confidence and determination to get into this industry. And in particular, so the main learnings are for me, the first one would be to use a unique and distinctive tagline in my LinkedIn profile, so that you stand out a little bit more from the crowd. Then the second learning would be how to approach people in the industry with more confidence and offer them your values. So you ask questions and you offer to help, or you ask them to help you as well, because asking for help is also important, and you need to be confident to do so. So having said this, yeah, I would like to thank Adriana, Suraya, and Anka for being awesome teamwork, for their awesome teamwork. And I would hand over now to Suraya, and Suraya will pass over to the next person.
Thank you, Karam, and very happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
So my name is
Happy
Suraya. My name is Suraya. I'm a molecular biologist. I work as a scientific writer at 4 clinics, and I'm based in Paris. I was very lucky to have found my passion for science very early in life. And even as a young girl, I knew that I wanted to become a scientist when I grew up in Germany. And then I continued as a researcher here in France. I had my career path mapped out, and my plan was to have my own research lab one day. But over time, I found that my scientific output fell prey to a common issue in academia because my focus had become very specialized, and the everyday academic life had sort of stifled my creativity. And I also did not get enough time and support to develop the skills that I would need to become a research leader. And this sort of started to take a toll, and I felt that I was not good enough to continue or to make a meaningful contribution to science. And this was a real low point in my career. And one day, just to distract myself, I went on a short trip. I took a hot air balloon ride over the Loire Valley in France, and really enjoyed soaking in the sight of the woods and the streams and all the beautiful castles that are there in the valley, each of them unique and each built at a different time in history. But each one of them contributing to the magnificent landscape and making it whole and seamless. And at that point, I remembered what it was that had attracted me towards science as a child. It was the promise of unraveling and understanding the ways in which everything in the world is connected and how everything makes it whole. And I realized that I was not ready to give up, and that I was going to do whatever it takes to reclaim my passion again. I started to write about science and to explore other fields of research. I joined a mentoring program to develop my leadership skills and to network and learn from people who had the different backgrounds and experiences than I. And I also thought that the best way of empowering oneself is through empowering others. So I began to share my knowledge and experiences with others as a part of this journey. Now I serve as a board member at the Paris chapter of the Healthcare Business Women's Association. And this is an organization that is working to advance women's careers in the healthcare industry. It's been a very deep and satisfying journey so far, and a huge learning curve for me. But one of the challenges that I was consistently facing was to craft my own unique storyline that would capture my experiences so far. And the Women in Tech masterclasses, especially the pre-work exercises in the previous masterclass, really gave me the clarity and direction to move forward in my efforts to tell my story. And now I'm working towards building a personal catalog of stories that I can use on various occasions. So I really thank the Women in Tech team for organizing these masterclass series, much appreciated. And I also thank my lovely teammates for their enthusiasm and encouragement and support. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the events this evening, and I will pass on to Anka for her and to hear her story.
Thank you, Suraya. Wonderful story. And Karim as well. Wonderful story as well. So I'm going to continue with my story. First of all, hello to everybody. My name is Anka. I was born and raised in Romania, and I'm proud to say that life threw me places away from my home country, and I had the privilege to be exposed to different cultures while living and working in the UK and Ireland. And most recently in the Netherlands. I am based in Amsterdam right now. I consider myself a generalist as being a self-motivated and enthusiastic individual with probably a too curious mind. And I have vast experience in different fields such as retail, fashion, manufacturing, and lastly in technology, where I've worked for the past 4 years, close to 5 years. I have more than 10 years of work experience. I have developed a set of transferable skills that can be applied in any role, and that will be communication, problem solving, leadership, and teamwork, just to name a few. And these skills are so adaptable to any new role today. Now, my life took a turnaround 7 months ago, and I had to adapt myself to the current situation. And another transferable skill so important today, as we go through all these work-life changes, as we all know, is resilience. And that's our capacity to respond positively to any type of pressure, maintaining calm, focus, and not let everyday hardships to just affect our workflow. Now, that experience led me to new areas of work. And now I'm a certified coach with a professional certification in customer experience and design thinking. And I have recently started my own podcast series where I bring people from different backgrounds, just talking about their passions that influence them in their personal and professional life. And I have to be honest that this project has taken me out of my comfort zone more than ever before, as I always had this fear to just put myself out there, to have my voice heard. And at the same time, I have to confess, it helped me to discover myself even more. I always had this passion for learning and working with people. I'm curious about people in general, and I love working together with people towards a common goal. And that's a passion that will never die. Sorry. And now also I'm thankful for having the opportunity to represent that small tiny part of the amazing community that was present in the first role model session, as it helped me to understand again and to remember myself how important it is to showcase my skills in a confident way, and don't let myself feel trapped due to the feeling that probably I'm not good enough, and also that I'm not alone and not the only one in this situation. We have a voice that wants to be heard. We have to remember that, and we are more than capable of creating great things by bringing our authenticity in our work and in the way we present ourselves to the world. And I encourage everyone here with us today to spread the word about this amazing community built here within Women in Tech Netherlands, and together support their mission to close the gender gap and to help women embrace technology by just sharing our success stories with all the ups and downs, because that's how we grow. We learn from our failures and we become stronger. Therefore, don't be afraid to fail in whatever you do, and you will be, I would say, one step closer to actually achieving your full potential. And yes, some roads may prove to be more difficult than others, but all you have to do is to simply put one foot in front of the other and just keep going. So therefore, thank you for listening, and I'll just pass it over to Adriana. She was going to close off this little session of the role model speakers. Thank you.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Adriana from Guatemala, and I am very happy to be part of this role masterclass because I have 20 years of experience working with women and small businesses because I started since a really young age. And currently, over the last 2 years, I have advanced a lot in my professional career. I have established more my company, and I'm trying to expand it to Mexico. But still, I have problems with the imposter syndrome because I still can't believe it, that everything is happening in a way. I'm a kind of role model to other women. And sometimes I feel bad because I always tell to women, the women I work with, believe in yourself, believe in your work. And I was struggling with that. And the role model masterclass helped me to realize that in the industry, many women have this problem, because we are told to be quiet about what our success and be humble, but sometimes being humble doesn't mean to hide what you do and not recognize the impact that you're having. And that many aha moments that I have in the past class made me realize that it's important to remark what you're doing, remember the impact that you are creating, and believe in yourself, that you deserve to get this far because you have worked to achieve it. You have earned it. So it's important to realize that. And I'm very happy for the tagline that I came up with, helping to shape and build women dreams and small businesses through technology and financial education, because that made me realize again the impact of what I'm doing. Remember, why am I doing it? And also, like I said, that I am capable of doing this and doing even more, and I should feel proud of that. So, but many thanks for this amazing masterclass and the opportunity to share my story. And back to Anka. Thank you.
I think it's back to Kara.
I think so too. And wow, I'm so impressed and I'm so proud of each of you. You told such beautiful stories, and I just can't believe that these were all the reflections and the learning that you took out of the first masterclass on your persona, and how much more you have learned about yourselves and about each other. And I just love the fact that you self-organized, you pulled this together, and you have told such beautiful stories. And I think that will serve as a great inspiration to getting 3 or 4 more other ladies to want to tell their stories the next time and to share what you have done with us in the next session. So I really applaud each of you. I thank you. I'm hugely proud of you. And I really thank you for sharing your reflections with us. It's hugely inspirational to me, and I'm sure to the others that are on the call with us today. Really, really well done. Thank you so much. Wow. Well, with that, off to a great start, I think. We're going to dive into the program. And tonight we're here to talk about your passions. And I think if there's one person that can start to help us understand what our passions are all about is my dear friend Mira Vasek. And Mira, I'm going to hand the stage to you because you can tell the story best. So without further ado, please let me have you introduce yourself and take it from here.
Hi, Kara. Thank you very much for giving me the handover. So hello to everyone. Well, instead of introducing myself, I would like to do something else. I think we had quite a lot of people introducing, so I think it would be nice to see also which participants we have. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna share my a presentation, and I hope that that is going to work. Let's see. Yeah, let's try it this way. Okay. Okay, so as I said, what I want to hear from you is a question. How often do you Google yourself? So please, if we can see a poll, and then for the simplicity, you can vote. Okay, yeah, now we are seeing the poll. So how often do you Google yourself? So we have options: never, sometimes, and often. So let's see. Waiting for the poll results. I'm really curious about them.
Maybe they're Googling themselves now, Mira.
Let's see if everyone are done, or most of you with the voting. Let's see, can we see the results? Okay. Okay, so we have some people, 28%, that do it never. Then we have a lot of people that say sometimes. I'm also curious what precisely is sometimes. And then we have often. Okay, so now what I would like you to do is please go to your breakout rooms and of course, take some time for yourself to get to know each other, because that's also what this event is about, so that the participants can get to know each other. And then please Google myself, I volunteer, so Google my name. And then when we are back here, I want to hear from you. Who do you think I am? Okay. So I think Kara will now arrange, or Gabby, the breakout rooms. So I'm going to see you in a couple of minutes back. So take your time to shortly introduce yourself to each other and then Google my name, Mira Vasic. See you soon.
Cara, sorry, something is wrong. Would you be able to put me in my room because I'm lost?
Hi back.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
Hi.
I hope that you had a nice get to know session. So,
Yes, it was nice.
okay. Can you start telling us something about it? Well, something about me. I'm curious. What do you think? Who I am?
Oh yeah, I had the great pleasure of meeting you 2 weeks ago, and I knew about you, so that maybe that's cheating. But yeah, I googled you, and yeah, so it all is consistent. All the results say that you're a coach in all your YouTube, in your this. So that is very good results because I don't see something different from one place to another. So I find it great. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Mira, you're married, I think, because I saw you on the 26th of February 2017 together with somebody cutting a cake. So I guess you're married in a
Okay.
wedding dress.
Okay. Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Some other information? What did you find about me, about myself? Can you write it in the chat also? Let's do an exercise.
Yeah, you studied civil engineering in structural analysis,
Yeah,
and
that's
and you did your PhD in Milano.
yeah.
You are a career coach, and your passion for female leadership.
Yeah. So why I actually ask you this is not because I want to hear what I already know about myself, but to make you aware that people actually do this for you. So people will Google you. As soon as they hear your name, whether you're applying for a job, you're looking for a new client, you are looking for a new friend, whatsoever, people will Google you. So just be aware of that. So Googling yourself is a good reality check, and then you can actually see if what other people see. So I'm gonna continue to share my presentation now, and then we can continue with the talk. So I think you can see my screen again, right? Yeah, okay. So, and this is what personal brand actually it is. So it is about how other people see you, because one thing is what we think about ourselves, and then other thing is how people see that. And then when we talk about career, is about strategically presenting yourself. So now I can shortly tell you my story actually. So I was born and raised in Serbia. And by the time when I was choosing my university study, my country was devastated with 2 wars and a dictatorship, and it was very bad situation. So I always had passion for engineering, and I knew that I'm going to study something like that, but I didn't know really exactly what. So when I came to the idea of civil engineering, I was also asking myself, well, are we going to have enough money as a country to build in the future? So what I'm going to do? And then it just clicked. I realized that my passion for buildings can be combined with my passion for helping people. And then I can not only help them build new buildings, but I can also help them renew already existing and damaged buildings. And that's what I was doing for the past 10 years. So exactly, I have also PhD in structural engineering at Politecnico di Milano. I specialized in historical buildings, damage to these buildings. I'm also married, yes, I have 3 kids living in the Netherlands. Currently, I speak multiple languages, and I'm career coach for women and female leadership. So I'm very pleased to meet you all. So now we're going to see shortly a video. This is a research video. It is from Deborah Tannen. She did a lot of research and published a lot of articles on human behavior, on interactions, networking, communication. And this is one of the videos. The video is about boys playing, and they were asked, how high can you hit the ball? Carefully look at the video. Afterwards, we are going to discuss it, have some nice interaction. The videos are very old, but very illustrative and a lot of fun. So I'm gonna just share the video with you.
Mine's all the way up to there. Mine's up to the sky. Oh! Oh man! Mine's all the way up to heaven. Mine's... Oh! Mine's up all the way up to God.
Okay. So let's see now. Let's see if you can write then in the comments. I will check also myself the chat if I can do that in this moment. Otherwise, maybe someone can help me with let's see. Yeah, chat. Okay, I have it. Okay. Sound was a bit muffled. Yeah. So what they were saying, one was saying, I can hit it very high. And then the other one say, I can hit it towards the sky. And then the other one said, I can hit it even higher. So what the boys were actually doing with this kind of, how limits differ depending on the person. Okay. So they were competing. Yeah. Very good. Competing. Bluffing. Exactly. Showing the best of them. Okay. Macho behavior. Okay, setting a goal, being confident. So they were strategically presenting themselves. There is no limit. Yeah, okay, very nice. And let's think now, what do you think if we put a girl inside together with them? So what's a girl going to do? Put it in the chat. What do you think? What is the girl going to do? Say nothing. Exactly. Yeah, I don't believe it. Yeah, exactly. Keep silent. Yeah, be realistic. Yeah. So what is happening here actually? So boys, when they are very small, and that remains the same when they grow up, they brag a lot when they talk about their success. And not necessarily everything that they say have to be truth. The second thing, what you very well noticed, is they are competing all the time. So I can do it higher, I can do it bigger. And that also doesn't have to be truth. And also they're playing in rounds. But if we put a girl inside, so what she's going to do, she's not going to participate, and that's also fine. But then the boys will not play with her. What she can also do, what you also said, she's going to say that's not the truth. But then the game stopped. And the boys will not like that. What I'm saying is really black and white, and this is not valid for all people. Of course, there are exceptions. And when I say men and boys, it's men and women, sorry, I intend people of any gender, but the people who have more feminine or masculine preferred working style. So it's not related to gender. Of course, there are girls that brag also, but this is very black and white, so for you to understand well. Yeah, so someone says, my 3-year-old does it. Yeah, I try to raise her in a way she will keep doing so. Yeah, that's good. That's very good. What is also very good, if you have a girl, daughter, or if you will have it, put her on a group sport. Because then she will learn this kind of unwritten rules when she's very young. Because while we study, we do our best, we get our grades, and we are accordingly evaluated. But what happens when you start to work, actually? So when you start to work, you start to realize that the kind of game of making the career is played. And since most of the organizations in the world, so many companies, most of the universities, hospitals, name it what you want, were founded by men, and for a very long time in history were led by men, most of these unwritten rules are actually according to masculine preferred working style. And some of the women, very small portion, naturally has it. But a big portion of women or people with preferred feminine working style is not at all aware of that. And that's where my passion at the moment is. So unrevealing these unwritten rules, helping the women to get the career they deserve and to get more impact on the world. So what I would like to do now with you is to share a couple of these unwritten rules and to see how we can better brand ourselves, or let's say strategically present ourselves. So let's see if there is something in the chat. Still well said, thank you. So how do we change the rule? Very important question. So first of all, you have to be aware that the rules exist. Second of all, you have to discover them. Third of all, you have to play the game to get more influence. And fourth, change the rules. It is very difficult and we need still to go a lot, but this is the situation at the moment. And I'm not saying that you should change yourself, but it is more about adapting strategically your behavior, what you show to people, being aware of your impact and influence on other people, and then to rise higher on the influence line, get more influence and change. Someone says, led by example. Yes, of course, led by example, because when you get on those top C positions, full professor positions, and so on, just name it, then you can help other women to get also there, but also to change the rules of the game, as I said. Involve guys, definitely. But I think women were discriminated for so long time in the history that my job is to focus on female leadership. So I leave the guys to someone else. Okay, put out the fire. So what does this mean? It is widely seen that men tend to take more hot or burning tasks in a project, organization, or roles. And it is also seen that women tend to either put out very small fires or do everything that they can in order to prevent the fire. So what I often was hearing from men when we were about to discuss if a colleague should be promoted to a higher position, they were often saying for females, well, she doesn't seem like she's actually solving any problems. You know, she just talks a lot. And what then I try to tell them, well, are you sure about it? Because what I see is that she does a lot of work, a lot of efforts for problems not to rise at all. And what I tell to women, be strategical. Sometimes let it go. Let the fire goes out and then go there and you put it out. And then say it loud. I did it. So that's one of the unwritten rules where we see the difference in the feminine and masculine preferred working style. And what we call disappearing act is both of these. So first of all, women tend to do a lot of relational work, what we call. So that is making the team work well, keeping the good atmosphere in the meetings, making the project ongoing, even if it is not going smooth, and so on. But this kind of relational work, such as organizing a conference, organizing a workshop, and so on, goes very much not noticed. So be aware of that, avoid disappearing act, and make sure that your results are seen. So here we come to the second unwritten rule, and that is about showing your results. So what we often see is, for example, in the CVs. So if I read the CV of a woman, it is very much often full with a lot of projects, but what we miss there is what she exactly did. So what she achieved. And there is a lot of talking about we and my team, and we did that, and we did that. While if you see at the man written CV, there is a lot of I and me and written in the first saying. So now I would like to invite a volunteer from you. Can some of you turn on your microphone? A volunteer?
Hey.
Hello. Yeah, hi. Okay. So we're going to do an exercise, Karen. So I'm going to ask you, did you enjoy your day?
Yes, I did. Thank you. Did you enjoy yours?
Okay, so I'm going to stop you now. So what I hear from you now is that you enjoyed your day. Okay, fine. But if I'm your colleague, I really don't care about it. What is important for me is what you did today. And actually, this is your great opportunity because you have opportunity to speak. So let's do it again now, Karen. So I'm going to ask you, did you enjoy your day? And instead of telling me that you did, and thank you very much, and all that rest that you politely, thank you very much, told me, please tell me about a result, great result that you did, that you achieved today. And it doesn't have to be today. It can be also something that you did yesterday, but use it as your answer. Okay? Do you feel comfortable?
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, let's try. So once again, hi, Karen. Did you enjoy your day?
Oh yes, it was great. I achieved to solve a bug in my mobile app that I'm building right now, and I feel great.
Okay, thank you. So do you understand the difference? So whenever a colleague or a person asks you a question, use it. Use it strategically, because it can be maybe the only possibility in that month that you will speak to that person, or that a journalist asks you something. Did you enjoy your day? But he doesn't want to know if you really enjoyed your day. What he wants to know is, are you ready for tomorrow's conference with 250 other journalists? Or how is your last peer review article ranking? So use every second of your space, brand yourself strategically. Okay. Thank you very much, Karen.
You're welcome.
Now time to celebrate your success. So men, what we saw, they tend to be very loud about their success, brag, and so on. And women tend to make it very small. What women that I coach very often do, they use very small words. So for example, they say, it was a very small report. I wrote you a little email. I send you a small message, and so on. So please, if you're doing that, stop that. When I realized that I was doing that, I immediately stopped. So without making our success small, and what is even more important, celebrate it. So we had a participant in one of our online trainings. She was quite high at the Rabobank in the Netherlands, and she landed the client. And a lot of her colleagues told her, it's a great success. Go and tell to your boss. And she was like, well, you know, it's my job. I don't have to let him know particularly about it. But then her boss went on a networking event and met the client. And the client was like, whoa, what a great deal we made for the Rabobank. And the boss was blunt because he didn't had an idea what the client was talking about. So don't think about it. Yeah, I'm going to call my boss tomorrow. I'm going to do it next week. Don't postpone it. Do it now. Send the message and do it strategically. Okay, maybe checking just with Kara how many times still we have, because we can skip this exercise also. Is that okay, Kara?
Yes, I think you have about 5 minutes. I know we're a little bit behind our schedule already, but
yeah,
I think
that's fine.
5 minutes we should be
That's
okay.
fine. Yeah. Okay. And then a very interesting unwritten rule, and this is the last one for tonight because we are very limited, unfortunately, in our time, that is speak up. So it happened to me so many times. I'm sitting in a meeting, and most of the time I am the only woman in the meeting, in the team, in the organization. And I hear all kinds of conversations, and then I think at the end, yeah, they said actually everything that I thought. So there is nothing much to say for me. And then I'm silent the whole meeting. But actually, if you want to brand yourself, you should do it strategically. Even if every single of your thoughts has been said, use your opportunity to brand yourself. You can just repeat something that someone said at the beginning of the meeting. You can do a kind of summary. You can ask some question, but don't stay silent the whole meeting. Please use your space and show yourself strategically. And often I get a question, what will other people think about you?
Well, Mira, can I ask you one question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. No, because I'm, let's say, quite Dutch. I always say a lot in meetings, and it can be that I say far too much. So I don't have the problem that I don't say anything. I say a lot. So do you have any tips around that? Perhaps it's not in this one, but that was what I was thinking. How do you do that?
Definitely, yeah. Well, we have our Apart program where we do these kinds of questions on very personal basis. So it is, well, I can also go to that slide. So it is this women's career program that is a 6-month program, and it is in a group of only 6 women. And there we have really a dedicated session about presenting yourself and giving the presentations and all kinds of these things. I can relate to you because I'm very much the same. So talking a lot recently in last years became my thing also. People usually listen only to themselves. So even if it looks to you that you're talking too much, it's not. And if it feels like bragging or talking too much, that means that you are on your 100%, because women tend to make them smaller. And if you feel like bragging, it means you are saying 100% truth. So don't worry about it. And thinking about what other people, if they will like you or no, only 1/3 of people will like you, 1/3 will not like you, and 1/3 will don't give a care about you. I mean, not about you, but any person. That's what the research show. So just one last thing, I am happy to offer you also the early bird offers for our long-term course. You will get these slides later on, so each of you can make use of this, and there are only 6 places. Thank you so much.
Great, Mira.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and a big applause for you. You know, really can always take away such great insight and learning from you about how you find your passions, but also really being so true to yourself. And really enjoyed listening to you here tonight. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of people following up for more ideas and more help following this evening's talk. So with that, we're going to continue the discussion. And what I'd like to do is introduce Marjolein de Boer, who has her own business called The Human Factory. And Marjolein, I will hand the stage to you so that you can share your slides. And I know we're going to have a great interactive engagement with you. So over to you, Marjolein, for your session. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Kara. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here tonight with you. This is the second time that I'm doing a talk for women in tech in the Netherlands, and it's really close to my heart. I grew up in a very traditional home with a mom who started working when I was 10, and she was a doctor's assistant for 3 days a week. My dad is an amazing guy, but unfortunately I have to say that my mom did all the housework as well when she started working. So there was not a good divide at all. And she really pushed me to go to university and have my own career. And that's why I'm so excited to be here with you tonight. So what I would like to do is actually help you tonight in how you can make the right career decisions so that you can go higher up and really use your potential. Because that's what I do from my own company, The Human Factor. I help organizations, teams, and individuals really utilize their potential to become high performing, to become seen, noticed, and to go places. So that's what I want to do tonight. And to give you a little bit of an idea where all of this started for me, I would like to tell you a little story. So about 10 years ago, I really hated my job. I really did. I actually got really great results from my manager. He was really, really happy with me and he thought I was doing a great job. And I got home and I was really, really tired. And that really, I felt stuck. I didn't know what to do. I thought of 30 different jobs that I could maybe switch to, maybe 50 other companies, but it didn't click. It didn't click at all. And really the path for me to make the right career decision was to have a personal power brand. And that's what I made for myself. So in my opinion, what is a personal power brand? First of all, you know your own talents and you know your own unique talents. That's the first step. If you know that, then you know which kind of jobs will fit you. Also with of course, the skill set that you have, but also with the talents that you give it focus on. And for me, in my job that I didn't like at all, I was doing a lot of stuff to support a lot of people, but they weren't really my talents. So I was really overachieving on, not what was giving me energy. The second thing that's really important, and we already talked about this, is knowing your passion. So this is not easy to find out, but what I found out in that year, it took me about a year, was that my passion is lifting people up. So I have my own company right now. From my company, I lift people up every day. I love to do that. Maybe in 20 years, I don't have my own company, I'm doing something else, But I know one thing for sure, I'll be lifting people up. That's my thing. That's my course for the rest of my life, probably, probably until I die. So it's really great to know that, because it gives you a course in your life. And the second or the third thing that's really great to know for your personal power brand is your values, what drives you. So knowing that will give you a lot of focus as well. So let me give you an example, just to give you a little bit more of a bearing of what a power brand is. So let me just share my screen here. And I hope you can all see this. And just let me make it a little bit bigger. Yeah. So yeah, here I am. So I actually did some research on Melissa Di Donato. And I don't know if you know her, she's the CEO of SUSE. And SUSE is actually a really huge open source Linux distribution company. I never heard of it, but it's huge. And I thought it would be kind of nice to investigate her a little bit for you as a role model for this group. This is maybe someone not a lot of you know, or not the whole group will know. But she is really amazing. And I just want to walk you through her personal power brands, which I actually built by researching her on LinkedIn and through podcasts that she did. So I'm really curious as if she thinks I'm right, but I think it will be neat to find out how this could help her in her career. So if you look at her passion, I think she likes to reach big innovative results together and ensure a representative workplace. So this lady is going places. She goes big or go home is really something that I think fits her very, very well. She's a very collaborative person, and she's really all about diversity. So she is the CEO, which is a very busy job. And then she's in 2 or 3 different committees as well, all the same sort of women in tech kind of things that really promote diversity in the workplace. So for her, working for a company where she can do big innovative things, but also have diversity on the agenda is really important. So to give you an example, if she would ask me for career advice, I would say based on her passion, probably best not to work in the insurance industry. Also based on her talents, it's more risk averse kind of environment. Nothing wrong with it, but for someone with her profile, it would be too risk averse. She loves to go big. If you look at her talents, it's really interesting because she has a CEO role. I think she has a great mix of people-oriented skill sets and actually a very competitive edge. So I watched her on a panel with another guy from another company. And what Mira just talked about, like speak up, well, this lady speaks up. And she has a competitive edge, but very respectfully. So she can combine the collaborative skills with being competitive and really speaking up. She has an enormously powerful energy. And I think for a CEO of such a big company, that will work really, really wonders. But for her, it's very important to do things together. So if you look at SUSE and how she talks about it, a lot of collaboration going on. So an individualistic kind of company culture would not fit her brand at all. She also, one of her values is giving back. And the interesting thing was that she shared a story about SUSE COVID-19, that they actually gave away their free open source access to, I think it was hospitals, to help them out in the COVID-19 crisis, which of course is still going on. And when she talked about it, her eyes were really glittering. She was really, really excited about that. So I think in that perspective, working for a company that wants to give back, not only promotionally wants to give back, but from its core wants to give back, is a great company for her. So this is just a quick example of how you can use your power brand to really help you make excellent career decisions. Because if you have this for yourself, then you can look at your power brand and you can match it with a job that you would like to do. We don't all have to be CEOs. I don't want to be a CEO, and that's fine. But we all do want to be marvelous in the working field that we're working in. And when we want to be in the right space, in the right environment where we can really grow and give back and develop and shine. And yeah, I hope this example was a great example of how you could use it. So Gabi, are there any questions maybe from the chat?
There's no questions yet. So everyone, if you have any questions from your side, go ahead.
Yeah, so I love interaction, actually. That's on my power brand. I'm a very interactive person. So if you have any questions, please just let Gabi know, and then she'll let me know. But this is an example. So what I would like to do is deepen with you all on the section talents. I was really struggling with half an hour because I would love to do my whole course, but that's going to take days with the whole group. So we're not going to do that. But what I would like to do is really look at your talents so that you do get out of this session more insights in your talents, and then you have a first base, right? So if you look at talents, I do have a very specific idea about what I call deeper talents. And I would like to share that with you first before we go into breakout rooms and get some exercise going. So what I see with a lot of people that talk about their talents is that usually a lot of people will talk about what I call low resolution talents. So just like with a low resolution picture, you can't, it doesn't really say a lot. So for example, if I would ask this group who's people oriented, so could you raise your hands, who's people oriented? How many people are? Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't really say a lot, right? A lot of people will be people oriented, but what's way more interesting is going to a high resolution talent and really finding out what part of people oriented in this example are you. So if you look at the examples, selfless power, wow, that's a great deep talent that really says way more about someone than people oriented. And the same goes for navigating others. So if you have that as a talent, this is someone that wants to guide others through their career or through their life. It depends on the subject. So this is a lot deeper than the lower resolution talents. And what I would actually like you all to do is look at your own talents. So we're going to work on them. And then after the exercise, of course, we're going to discuss them. So
Marjolein, can I ask a question before they start? Because I think we have one relevant question before. So all the questions are relevant, of course, but we have one that's relevant to the exercise that you're about to do. So Chantal is asking, what would be the first step when building your power brand?
Yeah. I think the first step, what I always say is what's very interesting is to get feedback from others on your passions, talents, and values. Ask 5 people. This could be friends, colleagues. Also ask people that you're not so connected with. And ask them, what do you think my talents and my passions and my values are? Because it's always so interesting how other people see you. What I noticed with so many teams and organizations and individuals that I coach is that talents are so natural that you don't even notice them, that they're your talents. They're so automatic to you that you think, well, no, but that's easy. That cannot be a talent. But the people that don't have that talent, they'll see you as very spectacular on that talent level. So I think I would start off by asking input from others and then build on from there. Thanks for that question. Okay, so let's go to the breakout rooms. What I would like you all to do, and Gabi, can we take about 8 minutes or something for the breakout rooms? Is that okay?
I see Kara nodding, so it is.
Yeah. All right. Time management top. So I want to give you a good amount of time. So think of one talent that you have. I'm sure you all have way more talents than that, but just let's focus on one. And then in the breakout sessions, I would love to ask you to help each other deep talent mine your talent. So how can you do that together? Ask each other questions. So if someone says, I'm result driven, ask them, what do you do when you're result driven? What happens when you want to reach a result? What is it that you exactly do? Do you talk to other people, or are you really quick in getting your results? Or do you want to think about, do you want to analyze things very well before you get your result done? Just to get to that deeper level, and then try to find 1 or 2 words that fit your talent on a deep level.
Okay, so I think Marjolein's screen is a little bit frozen right now, but what I'm going to do is open the rooms, and I hope that the assignment is clear to think about the talent that you have. Use the Mentimeter also to fill that in, and then have a conversation with the 3 or 4 other colleagues about that deep talent that you have discovered about yourself. So we're going to open the rooms. Marjolein, can you hear us again?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to just remind people of the assignment, and then we'll put them into the rooms?
Yeah, so help each other deep talent mine your talents, and then in about 8 minutes we'll come back and see what the results are. And please fill them in the Mentimeter.
QR code one more time.
Yeah, because it was gone indeed very quickly. So I also.
So now everybody can scan it before we go into the breakout rooms.
Yeah. Can everyone see this again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Marjolein, give me the signal when you're ready for me to move people.
Yeah, sure. Good luck, everyone. Have a good one.
Here we go.
Marjolein.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, we have quite a lot of questions. How many do you have time for?
Well, that's Kara's department, really. I think we're sort of running out of time, aren't we?
Yeah. So how much more of a presentation do you have?
This is really, I would like to come back and then sort of look at what the outcome was. And then I want to show them about the online course.
Okay. So I think when we come back, it's going to be 20 after 8. So I would say if you could do 5 minutes still.
Yeah.
To then allow Lika also half an hour, and then we'll be sort of ending with 5. I think we won't be doing the final Q&A.
No, exactly. Yeah.
But hopefully, I think what's nice is if you do 5 minutes of interaction right now and get people talking also a little bit, then that would give the opportunity to get some voices in the room.
Yeah, so I think what I'll do then, Gabi, I won't answer questions from the chat, but what I'll do is I'll just get some talents from the Mentimeter and discuss them with the person. So I'll ask like who was listener and help them to deep it a little bit more as an example. Yeah.
You could do after you've done that and you finished your session and Lieke is doing hers. You could go through the chat, scroll back and just answer to people yourself, since you don't have to say anything anymore. So at least that way you're answering questions.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, cool. Thanks. So how many women are there tonight actually? Because you can't really see.
Yeah, I saw, I think 60.
61.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. You put a picture of my presentation on Insta.
Oh, good. That'll be
Rita's busy.
Rita's busy behind the scenes. Good for her.
I always think people who do this are like social media wizards. They get everything on social media and I haven't even thought about taking a picture yet.
Yeah.
And they are wizards, I can tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good group again tonight, so that's fun.
Yeah.
Love your lipstick, Gabi.
Thanks.
Really good.
So I'm going to broadcast a message that we return in 2 minutes. So they should start to think about wrapping up their discussions.
Yeah, cool.
I actually thought Marjolein, the red lipstick was way too much always. But I learned from a good friend of mine in the industry that actually it makes people remember you better.
Yeah.
And you don't have to put on any other makeup to look like you're wearing makeup.
Right.
Oh, but you do have the lips for it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Like, yeah. Honestly, if I put it on, I look like a clown. I really do.
Seriously, you have to find your shade in red.
Yeah.
And people will remember me, but more like that was that clown. I don't know if that's good.
Well, actually, I think you don't need red lipstick. You have your hair, your amazing hair for people to remember you by.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm going to start bringing them back, okay?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, here we go. The rooms will close in 60 seconds, so they should start returning now.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So is everyone coming back in, Kara?
They are, and the room will close in 15 seconds.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so they're all coming back in now.
Cool.
Okay, so now the room will close, which means that they all should be coming back in here. Okay, 40, 50, 60. Okay, so I think we have most people are returned again. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Great. Okay, hi everyone, welcome back again. I hope you enjoyed not only the interaction, but also got some more input for your own deeper talents. And as you can see, you added a lot of input, so that's really, really, really amazing. So,
sorry, I don't see anything on the screen. Maybe.
Oh, you don't? Oh.
I'm not sure if that's the case for everyone. Yeah, now I see.
Now you see something else, I think.
Yes. No, it's the same slide that used to be.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let me find out how I can. Do you still see this? Oh, wow.
We do, Marianne, we see, and of course I can't stop here, that slide.
But do you see the text now from Mentimeter or no?
No, we don't.
No.
Oh. How is that possible?
You should probably stop sharing your presentation and then share the screen that you want to share.
Yeah, all right. Let's see if that works out.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Angela, for telling me. Great. So
no
you got a lot of input together, so I'm really happy about that. And I just wanted to get one example and to find out if we can deep talent mine that maybe a little bit deeper. So who had communication skills? Angela, really?
I think also someone else, because I didn't get to submit my answers, but I also had that one in my list.
Okay. So,
but it's also someone else's talent.
Okay, cool. But Angela, would you like to go a little bit deeper with that one with me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So what do you do?
Yeah, in the breakout room, my peer Marta asked me the same thing, and she had a good point that communication is really broad thing. Like, what do you mean that you're good in communication? That's a really good question, actually. It made me think what it really is. And thinking about it, I realized what it is. So how I see it, of course, it's my talent, but it's about the way I approach people, how I start the contact. I give a positive feeling when I contact someone, when I try to discuss something with someone. I think it's the clear message I always try to share, or if it's a question, I try to make it as clear as possible, to be very clear in the communication. And also, whenever I ask someone something, I don't stop with just being provided with what I asked for. I always send a thank you message, or try to be in further contact, just to be grateful for what I was provided. And with that, I think that communication is the full experience from my side.
So thank you for that, Angela. So what I would think for your deeper talents is actually a positive and direct communication. That's what I get out of your examples. So you approach people in a very positive and maybe even comforting way. So maybe comforting is a word that would fit your deeper talent, and you're direct. So you say it like it is, right? So if you would add that to your talent, then it gets more specific.
Yes, indeed. Good point.
Yeah, cool. So because of the time, I'm sorry, I could talk all night, but I want to give Lieke the stage, and I want to give you a portion of Lieke as well, because she's amazing. I just want to, I'm going to share the other screen again. I just want to share with you the final thing, because I already told you that I could do this for days, and I would actually love to help you out with the whole group, but it's impossible in half an hour. So what I thought I would do is, for those of you who are interested in learning how to build your own personal power brand to make the right career decisions for yourself, I'm offering 3 online courses for free. So the value is 195 euros. I'm offering you that for free. And if you are interested, please send me an email. Don't put it in a chat because I won't see it. Send me an email, marjoleindeboer@thehumanfactor.io. Kara and Gabby will share these sheets with you so that you can find my email address if you can't write it down right now. If you're interested, send me an email. Sunday at 11 o'clock in the evening, I will close the email section and do a blind raffle for 3 names. And then on Monday, I will email you with some great news and the code so that you can actually do this self-paced online course. And if you did not win the free option, I do have a second surprise prize, but I will reach out to you on Monday through email and will tell you all about the second prize that I do have for those of you who are unable to get the free version. So yeah, for now, if you want to send me an email, and I always like to end with this sheet, strong women lift each other up. So let's do that. We're already doing that tonight. I think the atmosphere is extremely positive. And I really believe that if we help each other out, we see chances for each other, we reach out to each other and we make time for each other to spar, to have this quick call, to help each other out, to lift each other up, we can do amazing things together. So yeah, here's to that. And thank you so much.
Wow, Marjolein, thank you very much. And so really a round of applause also to you from all of us. And empowered women empower women, right? So thank you for that. What an amazing offer too. I have a feeling you're going to have at least 60 emails in your mailbox after this evening. So I just encourage everyone to don't rush to have to get that email out now, because she's waiting until Sunday and we'll do a raffle. So continue to keep your focus here, because we're going to turn over to Lika Lam now, who is going to take the stage. And there's no one better that can do that in my mind than Lika herself, because she is a trend watcher and very used to being in front of a large podium. And Lika is going to help us understand how we can develop our rockstar media presence. With that, Lika, may I give the stage to you?
Well, thank you very much, Kara, and I'm really proud and honored to be here with you and being able to give you some tips, some advice on how to approach the media. I'll do that according to my life story, so I'll tell you a little bit more about myself. My name is Lika Lam. I'm a member of the board of Women in Tech, also very concerned about technology for women. It's very important in my life. But I'll share the screen and I'll get a presentation starting, and along the presentation you're allowed to ask questions as much as you can. Our presentation will take about 20 minutes, and then the last 10 minutes will be your questions or your remarks, or my questions to you maybe even. So let me see if I'm able to share the screen. Yeah. I hope you all see the presentation right now. Is it getting bigger? No.
Not yet. Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Yeah, well, this is me, obviously. I'm having a business together with my husband. It's the one for you on the left. And we started 20 years ago. My background actually is in Italian language and culture. I'm from the Netherlands, but I had an Italian boyfriend and was planning on going to Italy and staying there. So that was my future in my mind. But then I met my husband, and he is really into technology, and I already had some love for technology. So then I started doing the business with him, and that's where I ended up. You see us here in the tower of the government of the Netherlands. In the middle is Mark Rutte. He's the Prime Minister of the Netherlands, for those who are not from Holland and do not know that. We were able to give him some advice, but he also gave me some advice, because I was able to talk to him, and I asked him, like, how are you doing when you have so much meetings? And he said, what you should do is come in and be seen, be heard, be very enthusiastic, know where you're going, take 5 persons who you really want to meet them, be very, very busy, and then leave, and everybody will think you were there the whole night. And I thought that was very smart advice. And I thought, oh, that's how guys are doing that. But anyway, I'll tell you a little bit about where I come from. Like I said, I studied Italian language and culture, and my dream was to get married and have a lot of children. So part of that dream came true. I have 4 children. My husband at that point started his business, and I kind of like assisted him, but I was very shy. I had a very heavy depression during my puberty, and another one during the first pregnancy. I was very insecure. I was very fat and, in my opinion, very ugly. And I was a little bit scared of people and scared of audiences. And I'd rather stay home with the kids. But then my eldest daughter, you see her here in the middle, she turned out to have a handicap. She has autism, and her skin, I don't know in English exactly the words, but her skin is not very stable. So her muscles get extra pressure, and it's difficult for her to move. So they said that she would never learn to walk, but then she started to walk. And then they told me that she would never learn to ride a bike. And then at a certain point, her little sister, don't know if I can show that to you, it's the big one on the left, it's just 1.5 years behind her. She learned how to ride a bike, and I noticed that she also wanted to learn that very badly. And she was really sad that she couldn't, because she's smart enough to notice that something is wrong. And then I took her to the Veluwe, which is like a big natural park in the middle of the Netherlands. And they have a lot of bikes there that you can just, rent or just take. And I learned her how to ride a bike. And I remember her asking me, Mama, what if somebody is seeing me fall? And then I replied to her, then you should take care that everybody sees you getting up again. And that sentence to her taught a lot to myself as well. It really opened my eyes. It was a very difficult period, because on one side, I did not want to push her. I did not want to be angry with her for failing. I wanted her to give space to, being herself. It's okay like you are. But on the other side, I wanted to push her to the boundaries of what was possible. So it was a very intense period in my time, in my life. And I really learned a lot about that, about not being scared to fail. And she learned how to ride a bike. And that was always something I had in the back of my mind. If I was scared of doing something, and if I saw that stage, because I became a keynote speaker on a big stage, and I really have had a hard time doing that because I was really scared. But then when I was scared to go onto that stage and into those spotlights, I thought of her on the bike. And if she can ride a bike, I can take the stage. So that's my daughter, and she's really very important to me, of course. She's my daughter. Well, this is me on the stage. How did I end up from being a house mom with 4 kids to going on the stage? Well, like I said, that daughter of mine took a lot of our time, and we were a lot in the hospital, and my husband had his own business. And there was like the crisis and things like that. And it started to go down with the business. And we found out that there were a lot of companies who rather have a woman than a man. So my husband was losing lectures, keynotes to women. And then at a certain point, there was a very, very big lecture in Amsterdam with CEOs from all over the world, women. It had to be in English. And they phoned my husband that they thought he was great, but actually we were looking for a woman. And without me knowing that, he said, well, I have a woman in the house and she'll do it. And I was like, what? And so I ended up in Amsterdam on a stage. He prepped me all the way. He made my presentation. He empowered me. He drove me to Amsterdam because like 20 years ago, I was still very scared of driving in Amsterdam. That was really something I did not want to do. He took me there, and he was in the back of the place, thumbs up and saying, well done. Well, I was telling all the CEO women that you don't need men and you can do it by yourself. Well, things like that. So that was actually the start of my career. Well, like I said, the first few times on stage were really hard for me. I was really insecure. I already heard today the imposter syndrome. Well, I had the same. I really thought, like, why are they listening to me? What do I have to share? But eventually, after a few throw-ups and after a few cries, I started to like the feeling. And as you can see on the pictures, I ended up on all kinds of stages. And now I'm even must admit to myself that I miss it during this Corona time. And I never, ever thought that I would say that. But yeah, I really do miss it. Well, in that time, we started to grow the business, and we started to give advice to companies. We give advice about the future. We're called futurologists or futurists or trend watchers. But actually what we're doing is we're looking at new technologies and seeing how they can be used in society by companies, by the education system, by politics, etc. So we ended up, like I said, with the Prime Minister, with the former Prime Minister, with André Kuipers, who is a Dutch person who went to space, with the president of Shell. And we were really in the high level network. But then when it came to the press, they kind of like started to notice me. And I was a lot on Twitter, so I knew a lot of journalists. And then this is where I actually ended up with all this knowledge and all this high end. As you can see here, you see the Libelle and the Viva. And those are magazines from the Netherlands that are, how do I say this in a correct way, are more fun magazines for women at home or for moms or whatever. So there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not the high level corporate magazines that I wanted to be in. I had a column in the Libelle and I wrote about the new curtain in our shower. And as you can see on the Viva, I was talking about new baby trends because I was actually a trend watcher for tech trends, but in the media, I'm now a trend watcher for everything from knitting to Christmas to whatever. Well, that's first lesson for you guys. Never look down on those journalists. Because if you do not want to talk with somebody from Libelle or Viva, you're making a big mistake because these journalists, they swoop around all the time. And the next time she will write or he will write a story for het Financieel Dagblad or for some other big newspaper. And you can also learn a lot from that. And even TV channels are looking at these magazines to see who is able to speak his mind, who has an opinion, who is willing to share knowledge, etc. So that was my first lesson that in the beginning, I was like a little ashamed of that, like what's that? But then I quickly learned that this was a good first entrance for me to the world of media. So eventually I ended up in all kinds of media, some more serious, some less serious. You see here me talking an SBS 6 about Facebook. And you see that every media has its own rules. SBS is really low knowledge. You should not make it too difficult. You should not make it too hard. The best thing is to add something about a famous person or something, because in that way they will be interested if you've got something to share. On the bottom, you see me at the RTL News. I was very happy. The RTL News phoned me and said, we want to talk to you. Do you have time? Yes, of course I have time. What do you want to talk about? About the upcoming Valentine's Day. What are the love trends? So those are the things that like, okay. But then eventually people see you on television and from one thing comes the other. So like I said before, never look down on that. And because I was a lot on TV, I went to Tijd voor Max, which is a daily show on the Netherlands, on the first channel. So a lot of people watch it. It's actually for a channel for like elderly people, but also young people watch it. And I was invited to be a guest on a regular basis, to be there every month. And that did a lot for my media presence and a lot also for my knowing journalists, etc. So for just 1 second, I don't have breakout rooms and I don't have Mentimeters because I think that would take up too much time now. But just for a moment, think by yourself, what media would be nice for me to approach? Because just sitting at home and waiting for media to approach you, you should not do that. And then not just what exact media, but think about the difference about written media, about radio, or about television. What would your preference be? What would you like most? Just think about that for 1 minute. And then, is there like one newspaper, or one magazine, one radio show, one TV program that you would really, really, really like to be on? Because if that's the case, you can go to LinkedIn and you can look up that program and find the editors or the journalists and just...
We have someone asking for what purpose? So what should be the purpose for me to reach out to media? Maybe you can answer that.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that later. But indeed, yeah, you don't want to search the media just to search the media. You want to search the media because you want to, I think, if that's what you want, how do you say that? Let yourself be seen as a expert on some field. I want to search the media. I use the plain media to, in the more deeper media, express my wish for technology on schools, technology for girls. So I use one media to actually get access to the other media, so I can, you know, spread my message and spread the things that I find important. But you can also, of course, go to the media to make yourself seen as an expert on whatever it is you're an expert on. So it's just, yeah, if you have no reason to go to the media, don't, because they will feel it and they will see it. But if you really have a message to share, then you should not be afraid, and you should really, you know, target it and go there. So I hope that answers the question, but I'll get to it a little bit later about why you should go to the media. But I think,
how do you make a choice about the right media for you? So what is the sort of criteria, or what is the process you go through in trying to determine where should I bring this message? So how do you make that choice?
Well, I always say I'm a media whore. in English, it's a media hooker, because I take all media, because I think that with all the attention I get steps higher, and then at the end I'm on national television, and then I can spread the message about technology. Then I can be on Tijd voor Max, talking about technology for girls and about tech, etc. And I would not have been there if I did not do the knitting part for Libelle, or the Valentine's part for RTL News. But of course, it's your own way. If you say that I really don't want to do that, then don't. And if it's not in your field at all, then don't. But no, see where you want to express yourself. What is it you want to express? Where do you want to do it? And then if you have a magazine, on top, there's also always the names of the journalists who wrote the article. And if you think this is an article that really speaks to me, that I really find attractive to read, or there's a lot of information in it, then you can look up that journalist and just get in contact and say, I have a really important message I want to share. Is there somewhere that you can put an article for me? And can you write it? Because they're often looking for subjects and people that they can interview, or they can ask about some certain subject. So, yeah. And then you should know that there's a difference between, if you want to reach the media, there's a difference between written media and radio and television. Television is the highest. They look a little bit down on radio, but on the other side, they're copying radio. So if you go to the radio with a good story, then it's possible that there's an editor from television who will hear the story and then, you know, contact you to reach you. And the same goes actually for written media, which I find the most important, in my opinion, because who writes is staying. Like all my shows on Tijd voor Max, if they're gone, they're gone. I mean, I put them on my Facebook because I'm proud of it, but the rest of the world will never see it again. Well, as you write down something and you put it in a newspaper, on a news website, you can get it back every year. You can point out to it again and again. And you have also more space in written media to really write what you think is important. While on radio, it's a little bit smaller, the space you get. And on television, you have no space at all. It's so small. And for instance, at Tijd voor Max, I wanted to talk about the importance of artificial intelligence. And the editor said, what? I said, artificial intelligence, okay. Kunstmatige intelligentie, it's the Dutch word. Say what? I said, yeah, robots who can think for themselves. Okay, robots, let's just go with robots. You know, so that's how they narrow it down, because they don't want difficult words, and they don't want, and you just have 5 minutes. So that's something that you have to keep in mind according to what is the message that you want to bring abroad, what's the point you want to make. Choose your medium, and know that if you write in a newspaper, the television will be watching. So it's a good chance that from one thing comes another. Yeah. Okay, so then what we did, after I was a lot on television and I found it at Tijd voor Max, I was not able to get my message to the world in the way that I really liked it, because it's always shortage of time. You always have 5 minutes, and then it has to be molded in a way that is comfortable for the program and is reaching out to what's on the news that day. So it has to be linked to something that happened that day and things like that. So I did not like that very much. So we started our own, well, in the first thing, podcast, but later on our own internet television show. And I already heard in the beginning about the podcast, and I think that's very good. Please please make your own channel. It can be your Facebook page, it can be a podcast, it can be a YouTube channel, but take care, make sure that you have your own channel to share your knowledge and to let people know what you do, and maybe on LinkedIn. But I mean, if you have a lot of knowledge and you have interesting things in your work, you want to share, right? So, well, what we did our own Trend Watcher TV, our own channel, and we interviewed a lot of different persons, and from one thing came another. And it was also very interesting for me, because in that way, because I became the interviewer, it was for me so clear about what I wanted from the person that I interviewed. And it learned a lot to myself, because now I know what I have to answer to a journalist, because now I know if somebody's talking too long or is, talking about things that are not interesting or whatever. So that really learns you a lot. So if you want to know how should I answer on an interview, please start interviewing somebody else, because then you will really learn very quickly. And you'll also learn that it's not the famous people that you should reach out to. If you want to be at the table at YNEC, it's very nice that you're YNEC's best friend, but it's much, much more smart to be the best friend of the editor of YNEC. And if you want to reach out to like a politician, or this is a prince from the Netherlands, you should not know him, or I actually know him, but you should know the person who is his personal assistant. They can arrange all kinds of things for you. And that's, again, the interesting thing of being the one interviewing, that you learn the ways, you see how it works. So yeah, this is Prince Constantine. I interviewed him for our channel. It was a very nice network, and I cannot emphasize enough that keep your network up to date and be nice to your network, because it always comes in handy. I give Dutch lessons to Syrian boys, refugees. And because I did the interview with him, I had a very good bond with his personal assistant. And then I was talking to her about the Syrians, and she said, would the Syrians not like to meet him? I said, yeah, well, that would be great, of course. So not through him, but through the PA, I finally, with my network, my Dutch integration network, in which I help the Syrian people, I ended up with Prince Constantine, which really did a lot of good for the network. So in that sense, it's very important to keep a contact and a network with the people, not on the top, but just below it. And the same goes with television shows. I mean, like, again, it's nice if you know YNEC, but it's much more nice if you know the editor of YNEC. Yeah, and then I wanted to say also a little bit about my role as a woman, and your role as a woman, and the way in which that's changing. This is when I was young. I'm 47 now. Yeah, I just had my birthday, so I'm 47. This is the picture that was in my youth. What is beautiful, and a woman should be very man-like, boy-like, actually. Didn't quite work out that way. I have 3 daughters, 1 son, and my 3 daughters got this on their Bart Smith guide, the play guide. So you see, it's back to pink, it's back to princesses, but in a different way. It is like this Barbie. We have beauty and brains. So it's not just a woman. The woman should also be, in like the Barbie story, be the savior of the prince, which makes the prince look very dull. But anyway, there are 3 beautiful women rescuing the prince. And that's the role of the woman, which is really changing. Well, like I said in the beginning, for me, that was very hard, because I really was very insecure about my looks. I was really very fat, and I didn't want to go on stage. But I figured that, unfortunately, it still matters how you look. It is somehow important. There are some women who get away with just, being themselves. But in my opinion, and I don't agree with it, but it's just how I encountered it, is that it's important how you look, especially when you're on a stage or on television. So I learned myself how to wear high heels and how to do makeup, etc. Because before that, I did not like makeup at all. And then you can take advantage of your role as a woman, especially in the tech world, because we want more women there. But at the moment, there's really a shortage of women. So with every tech big event, as you can see, there are just a few women. And I really try to, in some way, emphasize the fact that I'm a woman. So I try not to, even though I like to, because of my body, I like to wear black and etc. But on these events, I try not to do so. I try to stand out in some way, like yellow, blue, red. So in that way, you can take advantage of that. And you're noticed because a photographer who is writing for a newspaper, who comes to an event like that, or a magazine in the branch, he likes a nice picture. And if they're all kind of like blue and black suits, he loves that there's somebody in yellow or in pink or whatever. So yeah, take advantage of that. But also be aware of how they treat women. This was something that happened yesterday. And I think it's Gabi who put it on the LinkedIn, right? Oh, Kara did. Oh, Kara did. Oh, sorry, Kara, you did it. Oh, very good. I saw that on Twitter and I told Kara, and immediately it was on LinkedIn, because I was very upset because there was again a headline: 2 women share the Nobel Prize. And as you can see on the left, there are no names, which I think is ridiculous. It's not like 2 apes or 2 chickens won the Nobel Prize. It's 2 human beings and they have names. So why just not, mention their names? And then you can see that the Nobel Prize itself mentions their name. So why did the newspaper not take that name? Well, that's another lesson I want to give to you. These are headlines, and headlines are made by somebody differently from the one who's doing your interview. If you're in a newspaper and somebody is interviewing you, this can be a very, very nice person. And please always ask if you can see the text beforehand. They will not find that hard. You can just ask that. And if they give you a hard time about that, then just say the interview's off, because they should really show you the text. And it's not, you're not supposed to rewrite the whole text and make every sentence different. But if there are really things that are untrue or false, you can change them. You're allowed to change them. So that's your relationship with a journalist. Then with the photographer, it's a different story. Not every photographer wants to show the pictures beforehand. And then there's also always the newspaper self who chooses, there's a special editor who chooses the picture. So that's more difficult to have control over. But the headlines, that's the most hard thing to have control over, because they will decide anyway. I had an interview for the Telegraaf, a Dutch newspaper, and they asked me how I gave lectures, keynotes, and how I reacted to comments from the audience. And I said, well, sometimes that is, old white guys nagging and giving me a hard time. And then the journalist asked me, what do you do? And I said, well, I just play with them. I find it very funny. That was just such a small part of the interview, right? Because that was like 3 pages. And then in the end, of course, the headline was, here it is, Ik speel met zure mannen. I like to play with, with sour men, which I found a very stupid headline. I was not really proud of that. It got a lot of comments. It got a lot of attention anyway. But I asked the journalist, I said, why did you pick that? He said, I did not do that. That's something that the special headline editor does. So you have no control over that. And you have to not take things personal. It's just how the papers get attention and get people to click. So that's the most important thing for them, is that somebody is clicking on the headline. So you can use that to your advantage. If you have something very catchy, a quote or a number that is shocking or whatever, and you said, and you know that that will make the headline. And if it's an interview about you, it's not even that important. But if there are like 3 persons who are interviewed, you want your quote and your name to be there. So then it's very important to have a catchy, quote or saying or remark or whatever. I just go on and on. I only have 5 minutes to see, but I have some points lined up for you. To get your message across, it's important to know who you're talking to. Like I said before, not Jinek, but the one below that, or beside that, or however you want to call it, but not Jinek herself. They have a very big ego too. They want to be acknowledged. So be friendly and know their work, know what kind of journalists they are. Be a little bit interested. They're busy, so if you want their attention, be wise and be short. Let them know what you want, and if it's possible that you want it, etc. And then also know the audience that you're trying to reach out to. I mean, again, if you want to reach that audience, don't go to that journalist, but see who is writing for the magazine that you want to have your article in. So know that, and then also know, and that goes more for television, know what they want to which audience they want to reach and in which way they want to do that. I mean, in Tijd voor Max, Dutch show, I want to elaborate on technology. I want to so badly, but they don't want to. They have an audience that just wants 3 nice quotes and a short story, and that's it. And if I make it a very elaborate story, they will just cut me short, and I will have no return there. So be wise about that. Know where your channels are. Yeah, know the audience. And then there are these formats. That's more or less with radio is very important. They have like 5 minutes news, 5 minutes weather, then 5 minutes you, 5 minutes somebody else. So when you know that, when you know the show that you're going to, and you know that they only have 5 minutes per guest, you know that you only have 5 minutes. Just don't go unprepared. Know what the medium is doing. Then, of course, have your message ready. Always have this like elevator pitch in your head. Know the things that you want to share. And then I come back to the question that was asked before. What do I want to share? Why do I want to be in a newspaper? Some people don't want to be in the newspaper. That's fine. But if you are busy with interesting stuff or important stuff, it's always nice to share with persons and to share it with the just persons, with the good persons. So in that way, have your story ready. On events, on networking events, here on the screen, but also for the media. And have like a personal story also, because they like personal stories even better than they like technical stories. And be aware of what's going on in the world. If there's some news linked to news that is current today, or it's linked to a famous person or whatever, then it will be picked up more easily. So if you have like some technical difficult thing, try to link it to something that is important today. And then last thing is about yourself. How do you want to be seen? In the beginning, I did not want to be very extreme. I wanted to be very moderate and very, how do you say, wise and easygoing. But then they don't want you. The media is in need for viewers or listeners or readers, and they have to stand out. They have to have some kind of an opinion. So with everything, you're being very moderate. They don't like you. Like, well, if you have a red stripe through your hair, or you have a strange thing or whatever, they will like you better, because then you're herkenbaar, recognizable for people. And in that way, it's more easy than next time you're on television, oh, that's that person or whatever. And the same goes with your opinion. Try to make it something special and juicy, because, you know, for yourself, you when you read and you have little time, you pick the juicy things. So dare to stand out and dare to make yourself seen and be a little bit different or a little bit less invisible. Then the last thing is social media, of course, which is very important. It was very important in my career. I think Twitter now is on its way back, but in my time it was very big. Most of my relations in the media I got from Twitter. Well, here you see a little bit it's the Dolly Parton challenge. I don't know if you got that challenge beginning of the year, but on the left upside top you see her on LinkedIn, which is very serious. It's more business-like. Facebook is more family time, friends. Instagram is like the dream world. And Tinder, of course, is being sexy. What's missing is Twitter. Twitter is for journalists arguing. So if you really want to be in the news and there is an argument on that day about a topic that interests you, go to Twitter and use the hashtag. Then journalists will pick you up, because journalists tend to be very lazy. They need a quote from somebody this night in their show. Who can they pick? They just go to the Twitter tagline and they just say, oh, she's saying something about less girls in tech schools, or she's saying something about Trump, or she's saying something about COVID or whatever. So that's Twitter. Twitter should be here also. But be aware of the things you share. Don't, and I think you all know that, but don't go in bikini on LinkedIn, because that will really, you know, lower your credibility, etc. But you see that Instagram is growing as well. It's getting more and more also business. So that could be also very interesting. Because of the time, I'm really going quickly. What I wanted to say, and I don't have the part of the newspaper because it's in Dutch, but there was in the Dutch newspaper an ikje, and I think Kara will remember it from last time. An ikje is mean a story about me. And there was a woman who was complaining that she was at a dinner party, sitting next to a very important business guy, and he was talking only about himself. She was sitting with him during soup, main course, dessert, and she was really pissed off because he never asked about her work. And then finally, in the end of the dinner, he asked her, "Oh, I didn't inform at all about you. What is your husband doing for work?" So now that was, in short, the story in the newspaper. She was very upset, and all of Twitter was very upset because how dare he ask about her husband and not assume that she has a career of her own. And I don't know if you can imagine how I stand in that. What's my opinion on that? I don't know if there are any suggestions in the chat about my comments on this story. Looking at Gabby, is anybody?
No, so on this story, not particularly. People are liking it a lot, though. So they love your message. It's very clear.
It's a great story, but I think that it's very stupid if you're going to a dinner with important businessmen and you have the opportunity to sit next to such a dick, even if it's a dick. Who cares? You're sitting next to him. You're there for a reason, right? You did not go to the dinner for the food, I assume. Have your story ready and be so much hurt, just break through him and get your story to him. Let him know what you do. You should leave that dinner with at least 4 people knowing what your power is, what you can do. And if he's really not listening, then just drop your napkin or your fork, pick it up, turn a little to the one on the other side and let him be. Don't be there all night listening to his story. So I found that woman really not that smart, to say the least. Well, that's, I think, all the time I've got, because I've got hours to fill, but I should not do that. And I think I'll just stop sharing and go back and see if there are any questions or comments or remarks or whatever.
We actually do have a few questions, Lieke. So I will go and find some for you. There's a lot of chatting going on. So I had one here that says, if you already have a personal platform, for example, blog, a webpage, or a podcast, would you advise to also reach out to other media outlets to promote your work, or how could that work?
I would certainly do that. And I'm at the point where I really ask if they can even mention my podcast or my television channel or my whatever it is, the page that I want to communicate, and ask them if they can, you know, somewhere introduce me as Lieke Lam and then with a web page or whatever, because in that way you've got cross channeling. And I think that's, if you want to get the story across, you want as much views and as much connection as possible.
Right. And then there's another question from someone who says, do you have your podcast on YouTube as well?
No, we did that. We did a podcast at the very beginning with Adam Curry. I don't think a lot of people here know, but now we have the Trendwatcher TV. So we have the TV channel now, and we have Nederland Werkt Door, which is a Dutch talk show on the internet. So that's our podcast is now with image, with video, so it's more like a TV channel now.
Okay, thanks.
What we do is we make from the television a sound only version, which then will be put in the Apple podcast channel thing.
Super. That was the last question from the audience. I don't know if you want to answer any more questions. Maybe Kara and I have some questions for you.
Yeah, Gabby, in fact, I think what I'd like to do is suggest we just open to all 3 speakers, if that's all right, because I know we're a little bit over our top of the hour. And I wanted to just ask the audience if you have a question for any of our speakers. So 3 amazing and very different conversations that we've gotten to have, but really exploring this domain of your passions. You know, starting with building your personal brand with Mira and really understanding what you stand for and knowing yourself very well and having that confidence. And with Marjolein being able to deep mine your own talents and your values and really, really making that very clear so that you can communicate that well. And of course, bringing that through to Lika in terms of your rockstar media presence. And my goodness, the incredible number of tips that we got from Lika on how you actually get to do that. Please take this opportunity to ask any of the three of them questions you may still have now. We'll spend just the remaining 2 or 3 minutes, and then don't leave, because we're looking for volunteers for the next class in November. So questions first to any of the speakers tonight. What's on your minds, and what do you want to know? And don't worry about typing it. You can just unmute yourself and ask away.
Hi.
Hi, yeah.
So first, really thank you for such an amazing effort. What I got from the three speakers is that you need to know your message, and not who you are needs to brand that message. That would be my takeaway. However, I find it sometimes difficult to make a coherent story on what I do and who I am and what do I project. I work on circular economy and sustainability, and sometimes it's difficult, or I find it difficult. How can I communicate that also with my persona, not just with my message? I don't know if I'm getting my question across. It's a big question, but it's about how to build a coherent storyline that is not just what you say, but everything should embody what your message is, if I understood correctly. I don't know if you have comments on it.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Chris. Thanks for your question. So I think Lika and I don't know, is Mira back again? Yeah, I think so, right? Yeah, and Mira, we all, I think, have answers for that from our own perspectives. But I think the best tip to build it is to start somewhere. Start small. So maybe start, first of all, putting some things down on a piece of paper. Just write them down. Who am I? What's my background? Am I really passionate about? What drives me? And then if you have that, maybe first start with your LinkedIn page, and start with the story on your LinkedIn. And when you have that, you can maybe exercise. I really did that for myself, to really exercise my pitch, because one of my downfalls can be that I am too elaboratively in my storytelling. So what Lika also mentioned, you have to be short, you have to be to the point, because otherwise people are snoring because it's too boring. So yeah, and I really had to practice that. So I did that in front of a mirror. I practiced that. I practiced on a daily basis what I did, what my company is standing for, and how I help people, and what the result is. Bam, 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 bam. And from that you can, so don't see it as a big elephant, just pick one piece, eat that up, and then keep on rehearsing it and building it bigger. That would be my tip.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris, for your question. Thanks, Maryline. Are there other questions, or did any of the other speakers want to respond to that as well?
Yeah, maybe I can add shortly to this one. And what Leek said was also very interesting and very true. And be prepared also that a lot of people will start extremely to dislike you if you start becoming famous and more present in the media. And that's not necessarily bad, but just be aware of that. They will be commenting you and saying that you are too boring, or that you are too aggressive, too ambitious, that you're a bitch, that you are this and that. So be aware what comes with that. And as I said, not everyone will like you. So don't take it personally. And especially be careful when dealing with women, because women can be very cruel to other women. But I hope that at least this group today of 60 women will always support each other. And that's something what I like always to that women promise, that we will always support each other and not talk about other women and not making them smaller.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mira, for that comment. And it's something certainly at Women in Tech that we so firmly believe in. and, you know, lifting each other up. And, you know, as I say, it's even better to get a compliment from someone else that talks positively about you. And, you know, to shine a light on others, it's just, you know, some of our core values that we fundamentally believe in. And so I think it's important that we are also aware that it doesn't always work that way. But imagine the 60 of us on the call tonight would be that way, how much better we all would be as a result, because I really feel that, you know, strong women empower each other and it make each other stronger as a result. And I don't think that we gain anything by tearing each other down. So look, there's one last question in here, and it was actually to Lika. So perhaps, Lika, we could just take that question and then round off this part of the session, and then look for our volunteers and end the show. So Lika, the question to you was, how do we create a strong self-confidence to act like you said, and not let ourselves shut down and to get through a lot of negative experience?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question indeed. I also saw another comment on the imposter syndrome, which is something that I really experienced as a younger woman. Confidence is you can get it by getting your story straight, knowing your facts, of course, practicing, talking to yourself, imagine some questions and imagine answering them, just practicing, standing in front of a mirror. I really had help from my camera, you know, just knowing which angle is good and you know, like a little makeup or whatever. And what was the most important thing, and that's something that you learn as a child, if you're scared of somebody, picture them naked, right? Well, I in some way pictured, have seen some CEOs of big companies naked, in the sense that I give, yeah, not really naked, but I give strategic leadership courses, and then I coach some very high level guys, and I was shocked. I was really shocked about their self-confidence, about how little they actually know, how little equipped they are. I also saw a question coming like, Lika, do you have any technical experience? No, I studied Italian language and culture, but I'm 20 years together with my husband, and he taught me so much about technology. I was there at the beginning of the internet, so there is not a university that could have taught me that. And I read a lot, and I talked a lot, and I go to these events where I am a keynote speaker together with 6 other amazing keynote speakers. So I listen, I learn, and yes, I steal to make it with my own source a new story. I get the information, and not steal, but I get the information, and I mold it in my own words to tell somebody else about that. And so in that way, just learn, listen, read, and please know that these guys at the top, I'm really disappointed, even with politicians, if I see who is ruling us, they're just a bunch of insecure boys who are also just searching how to do it, but they just have better masks. They are the same as us, but they have better masks. Keep that in mind.
Lika, and I think Michelle Obama would agree with you, and I certainly do. And you know, I think she was very famously quoted, and I won't quote her exactly correctly right now, but she said something to the effect that when she was first in the presidential office with President Obama and was being sent into one of her first governmental meetings, and she had to enter this conference room with a whole room full of men, feeling very insecure herself and intimidated by the fact that there were going to be all these world leaders she was meeting who clearly, you know, had it all figured out and knew so much more than she did, to get into that room and to realize that they were just normal human beings, as you just said, trying to figure it out. They did not have it figured out. And she, I think, very quickly felt very comfortable in that room because she realized that she was on an equal playing field with them, and was, you know, no better, no less, and everyone in that room had something to contribute. And so I think that's a really wonderful, you know, story to hear, even from a Michelle Obama, and you're saying it too. And yeah, indeed, her book Becoming, I think it's called, and the Netflix version of that is very worth watching in case you haven't seen it. Tremendous inspiration in there. So thank you, Lika. And with that, I think we're going to come to a close for tonight. And I thank all of those of you who were so gracious to stick with us even a little bit more over the hour. And just to wrap up, I sincerely would love to thank Karam, Soraya, Adriana, and Anka. I know that Karam has already left us tonight to go celebrate the rest of her birthday. So I'm just immensely proud and thank each of you for your teaming up and for the great reflections that you shared with us. I would love to thank Marjolein, Mira, and Lika for your hugely powerful and inspirational stories. Certainly I've learned a lot again, and that's the beautiful thing of this, is that at any phase of all of our career, we can keep learning from each other and empowering each other. And I think that's what this is all about. Thank you all so much. And with that, I am going to reach into this wonderful group of people we have right now and ask for volunteers. And I would love to just take the first couple of names that come in. Who would like to join us in the next session, which is on the 12th of November, where we will be talking about your presence. So we're going to be talking about networking and mentoring and being a mentee and what it means to really have presence in the room. And now that you've learned and you're learning more about your persona and your passions, and we're going to talk about how to put that all together and create the right relationships and the right opportunities for yourself. And so what we want to do is start off next month's session on the 12th of November with another 3 or 4 volunteers that we may get. And now I think I have 12 that just signed up, so I have a problem. And to have you team up and share your reflections from tonight's session that we have just had together. So I see, and I'm going to just go one at a time from what I see here. Beatrice, Rosangela, now Anka, you've already been here, Daria and Chris. So I have the 4 of you, and in fact, there's a 5th, I have 6. You know what? We're going to go for the 6, and with Senele, we will draw a line. There are 6 of you, so we have a big challenge because somehow you need to team up and tell an amazing story together and lift each other up and reflect on what you've done. But I will get in touch with each of you after the conversation tonight so that you know what the assignment is and how to help you prepare for that. In fact, what I need to do is just take a quick screenshot of who has said yes. Okay, I think I've got you. And with that, ladies, I thank you for your time tonight, thanking all the speakers. I hope that you feel even more inspired than you were at the beginning of the night and are leaving this with a lot of great learning. Thank you so much. Gabi, thank you for being my wing woman in tonight's event. It was a tremendous help to make everything work perfectly. So thank you for that. And to Rita, who I think is still behind the scenes posting away on social media, and to all of you, thanks so much. Thanks for being with us. I hope to see you all again on the 12th of November at session number 3.
Thank you, Kara. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, everyone.
And thank you, Kara.
Or day. Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Amazing session, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks, Anka.
Sarah, that means